You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out and move mountains, and I rise up.
Good evening. We would like to welcome you to another edition of the Rankin Valley Pittsburgh section of the National Council of Negro Women. My name is Shirl Coprich, and I am the section chaplain of the organization. And we hope that you can call in and participate with us. And we have Mr. Randy Coleman with us today, and he's going to give us the history on the Hill District. But before we go into that, I'm going to read his bio. Okay. And welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Mr. Coleman has his bio, and it's titled Simply Me. And Mr. Coleman was born on February 7, 1968 in Pittsburgh, PA, the son of the late Robert Coleman and Loretta Clancy. He grew up beside one younger sister and three older sisters and one older brother, and in the city of Pittsburgh in the neighborhood of the Hill District. Okay, and he attended John A. Brashear High School, currently certified peer support specialist. Okay, welcome to the program this evening.
Thank you.
And we're glad to have you here with us to give us a little bit of information about the Hill District.
Yes.
Okay, and my first question for you, I would like to ask you is what is a certified peer support specialist?
Well, first I'd like to thank everyone for having me here. I'm really excited. Well, a certified peer specialist is just what it is. A peer specialist, a person who actually lived and experienced mental health and substance abuse in reference to helping another person recover from some traumas and some things that has been detrimental to improving a person's quality of life. And it's basically based upon supporting a person's personal decision. So I'm not a person who suggests things or pushes things on people. I just basically support what decision they make. I support it just to let them know there is some hope and there's someone for you there, and that help is out there.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So how long have you been doing this?
Well, actually, I'm glad you asked, because if I really look at it, I've been doing it for a long time. I came up in a family of 6, and my sisters and my siblings they're my peers. They're also my siblings, and just as well as people of society as a whole. I consider them my peers, so I've been doing it for a long time. But it's just that I just took it to another level in reference to coming outside of myself to help another person improve their quality of life. And I've been doing this for almost 2 years now. And you know what, as a matter of fact, when I was in training, it was pretty much interesting, because a lot of the materials, it pretty much defined who I was. It helped me define myself more, and it actually helped me to look at where and how a person can be of service to another person who has been through struggles and trials and tribulations, and just being there for a person mentally, physically, even if the financial part, if some whatever it may be, it's just helping a person recover from a situation that they're in, or a dilemma that's been stagnating for a long time. That's all.
Right. So that basically tells us what inspired you to become that too as well.
Well, Yeah, because I was exposed, and unfortunately, and like I said, I can promote my story, right? I am a person who is currently recovering from mental health and substance abuse, and of course, growing up in an environment I came out of, there was some trauma, and I can truly say that for those of us or those of you who actually is currently going through mental health and substance abuse and traumas at this point. I'm here, as a testimony to tell you that there is help out there. You just have to be willing to let someone help you. And I've been struggling for a long time, and the condition of my spirit is now where it's to the point that, like, sometimes it takes, I hate to say it, but it's true, and it's the reality of it, the pain. Once the pain gets so great, change will occur without, individual's permission, and then once a person grasps onto that change and, the feelings and emotions surface of doing something new, and then there it is, your quality of life, my quality of life, it changes to the better, and I have to be okay with that. And I can truly say that, like, a lot of times that, like, I be wanting to convert back to the stronghold because that's where it was comfortable at for me.
Were you comfortable with accepting the help when you was going through this? Did you have a problem with rejecting or accepting it to, for someone that wanted to help you along the way,
Yeah, I was resistant to it for quite a long time. And, I relate that to my ideas, my attitude, my behaviors in reference to what I was exposed to at a young age, and which became a part of my belief system. And so I just became I became really aggressive towards wanting to relieve the pain, so to say, get the elephant off of my chest.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
So let's go into, like, where you grew up, which we know that you were a native of Pittsburgh and you grew up in the Hill District. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about the historical part of the Hill District that's going on, that's here to us now?
Yeah, well, there's so many memories. I can fill his whole studio up with a lot of memories that went on, in my era coming up in the Hill District. And I recall, one of the highlight moments of, being a resident of the Hill District growing up. I can truly say this proudly that, I grew up in the Elmore Square projects. And I can say, like, Elmore Square Playground was one of the highlights of my day. I could play baseball on that playground. I could play basketball. I could play handball, the swings, the slides. It was just, it had all the bells and the whistles as a kid growing up in that playground.
Some of the fun memories.
Yeah. And not only that, I migrate down to Soho swimming pool, Hammond swimming pool, Arthur swimming pool. And it was just nice that, like, Martin Luther King Field, I played baseball down there, Kennard Field. Majority of all the fields and all the playgrounds on the Hill District, I have migrated from one to the other, but I always ended up back in Elmore Square because that's where I'm from. That's where I was from, Elmore Square.
Okay. I noticed that the Hill District, a lot of talk about a lot of, you're a movie star or singer or whatever, would always come to the Hill District when they visit Pittsburgh. That would be one of their main stops. Can you tell us some of the things about the music and clubs and
Well,
different things?
when I was living on Bentley Drive, Georgie Benson, he's a resident of, the city of Pittsburgh, the Community Hill District. And, I heard people talking about him. And, actually, I was in my teens and, I listened to his music and it was real empowering. it was real encouraging. And that's when I began to pretty much be attracted to, you know, the music that was playing around me, you know, that I was exposed to, you know, and that I heard, especially, you know, on two of the main arteries of going through the Hill District, you know, Center Avenue and Wiley Avenues. Those were two of the main arteries. And like when I would walk through there, I would hear like the jazz music, and I would see people dressed real nice in cars, and you know, it was just going. It was like one of the main attractions, and you know, it drew like a lot of musicians, you know, and at one point in time, a lot of people don't know, like the Hill, it was all farmland, you know, and it was subdivided, and you know, when I looked it up and so forth, it was called, like, the Hill District used to be called Haiti. They used to call the Hill District Laceyville, Minersville, and not only that, you know, published worldwide, the Hill District was known for the crossroads of the world, you know, and it was sad that, like, all the musicians that came in from out of town, if you didn't go to the Hill District, you know, you haven't been out. So it just drew a lot of people, you know, and George Benson, the Crawford Grill, and, you know, the Hurricane Lounge, and so that was the birth of it there, you know, and in my era, you know, all the names changed. Most of those places closed down, but, you know, the legends, the people that was there, their names are still carrying on, you know?
Right.
And like, I take to that, and like, there's places that, you know, I can recall that, you know, there was nights that I was, you know, in the city, and like, it was like people never went to sleep. It was like baby Harlem. You know, people never went to sleep. You know, you could migrate down to Center Wiley Avenue, and it was the lights, and people were out, you know, and unfortunately it's not like that now, but, you know, if you go back mentally and think about it, there's a lot of memories that I truly believe that, like, has an impact on, you know, the way I see things now, and the way I grasp onto the roots of my community, because that's where I grew up, you know?
Yeah. And speaking of music and stuff like that, what about the businesses, like stores, like you wouldn't have to leave out of the Hill District to go to another borough to shop, or go downtown to shop, or whatever. You have the grocery stores and different businesses and clothing businesses and whatever that you needed right here in the Hill District, where you didn't have to travel to, you know.
Well, you know what, I can say this, because I was like I love to eat, right? I love to eat candy and
Like
icy balls and stuff. And I recall, like, I was really young, and like I can go like a couple doors down, and I can buy me like an icy cup. You know, they were icy cups, and it was Kool-Aid, frozen Kool-Aid, and like that was my thing. And I can go to the corner store and get candy and stuff like that. And now, like, you know, when I used to go, I can expose this Eddie's restaurant on Wiley Avenue. And like, you know, it was talked about very much. And I recall the first day I walked in Eddie's restaurant, and I could truly say the hospitality was wonderful. You know, and I was a teenager, and I wanted some grits and eggs, and, you know, some home fries, and, you know, like, it was really nice, and like, that's a memory that I captured, and it's still in my mind, and it's just like it was yesterday. And when Eddie's, you know, they tore it down or whatever, and, you know, I miss Eddie's restaurant. I even miss just like riding the bus and just riding past and just looking out and seeing people sitting out and having a good old time. And there was plenty of people and stuff out, you know, during that era, you know, and unfortunately it's not like that now. Things have changed.
But there is a lot of changes that's going on in the Hill District, especially tearing down and building, renewing. So we talked about the white side of the Hill District, you know. So what do you think about the changes that are they for the betterment for our community, for the people?
Well, you know, some of the buildings there, you know, like a lot of the buildings and, you know, some of the plots that birth from the Hill District, the projects and stuff like that, they've been around for a while, you know, and I can actually say that, they did a really good job on the redevelopment of Whiteside Road. Even Elmore Square slash now, which is called Skyline View. It's very beautiful up there, and regardless of whatever it is, the memories will always be with me.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, it seems like we're running out of time here, but I wanted you to, I see you make T-shirts, and we wanted you to give us a little bit of information about your T-shirts. And then we're going to, oh, I'm sorry, you know, we have a call waiting. I'm sorry. Could you please state your name and where you're calling from?
Hi, my name is Lori. I'm from the Hill District also.
Hi, Lori. How are you doing? Okay.
And I was calling in to talk to Randy about talking about 5 and 10 Billy Diamond store
Randy,
and
Baby
the
Diamond
country
Store.
store where we used to always go get all the penny candy from.
Oh, my. Hey, you know what? The squirrel nuts, that's what it is. The squirrel nuts and the bubble gum and the yo-yo. And I remember this guy, Benny 5 and 10 and Farmer's Pride and the country store.
Yes.
I used to love it. We used to look forward to, the guy coming in doing the yo-yo tricks every year. And, and around 4th of July, we go down and get the firecrackers. And one thing about Benny Diamonds, they always had some kind of toy that I liked, that I was attracted to there, no matter what. I always went there and got me a toy. And one of them was like the yo-yo, the glowing yo-yo. And I remember till this
What
day.
about the donut man that used to ride around in a white van and sell his Blaze donuts?
Oh yeah, I loved it. That was my Saturday morning wake up. And up Elmore Square where we grew up at, that first court right there, that was the first court he hit. And I remember like 7, 8, maybe 9 o'clock in the morning, he had this distinct voice, and he used to say, donut man. And like I would wake up and I would go and get those glazed donuts.
Absolutely.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, so that was some of our,
Yeah.
And then also you were talking about the jazz people, and they all used to hang down at the Crawford Square.
Yeah, I don't know. Like when I went in the Crawford Grill, and actually I was with a friend at the time, and I was introducing her to Georgie Benson's brother. And, in mid-conversation, I seen Georgie, so I was introducing her to his brother, and I was like, oh, there's Georgie over there. And I just flew over there and got his autograph, and it was like, that wasn't the first time I seen Georgie, but I was just so excited to be inside the Crawford Grill, a part of, the history of just, the landmark right now as it is, and just be a part of that time and that era,
Well, I'm going to bring to your attention, and you keep talking about Georgie Benson. Did you know that your mother used to hang and party with Georgie Benson?
Yeah, there was a few birds that, flew in my nest, and, a couple birds came, and, now like this one particular bird, yeah, I believed it. And, when I listened to the whistle of that statement, I was pretty much shocked. And I was like, well, why, you mean, oh, you serious? And like, yeah, I know now.
Well, it was a pleasure talking to you, Randy, and bringing back some of your memories and giving you a little history. But it's been good.
Thank you. Thanks
yeah.
for calling
And
in.
Exactly, thanks for calling in. And speaking of
Thank
Georgie,
you also.
you're welcome. And speaking of Georgie Benson, I am so proud of him because during the era when he was striving to become a musician professionally, a lot of people told him that he wouldn't make it. He couldn't do it. He's not going to do it, but he knocked down that wall, you know what I'm saying? So, and he made it. So, and he's from Pittsburgh, and that's one of the things I like about him.
And one of Georgie's famous lines for me that he sings about, Georgie said that they said I couldn't play this here guitar.
Yeah, I
and
remember.
he
Yeah.
proved them wrong.
Yeah.
And he talk about the neon lights on Broadway. So he ain't talking about the burnout lights down on the main arteries over here. He talking about the neon lights in Broadway.
Yeah.
But I'm quite sure Georgia remember the burnout lights here down here.
Exactly. Yeah, that's probably what got into trouble. Okay, so we talked about the changes in the historical Hill District, and that's a good information. So what we want to do now, we see that you make T-shirts, and we would like for you to explain us the history of these T-shirts that you had, you know, the logos and the history and everything about your T-shirts. if you
Oh, I
could
would
explain
love
to us.
to. Well, this is one of my T-shirts here, and it's the history of the Hill District, okay?
Did you
And
need help holding it up?
actually, this image here is at the top of the St. Benedict Church on Crawford and Center Avenue, and I pretty much selected this image because it's overlooking the Hill District, especially when you're going in towards town and when you're coming up from town.
Okay.
So I was going to put the New Granada on here, but you know, I put this on here, and it didn't tell how the hill was cultivated and how all the people migrated from down south with promises of low-income housing and jobs and stuff at the end of World War I. And the change of laws also drew a lot of people here that migrated up here. And it also entails how the Hill became one of the beautiful communities of the city of Pittsburgh, and how the Hill District is still one of the champion cities of communities of Pittsburgh. And on the back, now there's something on the back here. And on the back, this is a lot of the businesses from the late 1890s, from the late 1840s, all the way up until today. Now, there is some businesses that's not on there that upcoming that will be on here. And there's a lot of legends on this shirt, a lot of stores and businesses that you may frequent in when you were in your era. Like there might be a lot of clubs or bars on here where you used to do the two-step, or your mom or whoever used to do the two-step. And, you know, it's a lot of legends on there. DeJuan Blair, Sam Clancy, Teenie Harris, August Wilson. And you can purchase this. Actually, my number is 412-500-1257, and that's Mr. Randy Coleman. And that's 412-500-1257.
Okay. And we appreciate it if you check these T-shirts out. It tells the history just by one T-shirt.
Yes.
It's like walking back down memory lane. Yeah, so Randy, we're so proud of you.
Well, thank
and
you.
I'm, you know, very happy that you joined us today. So we're going to make a transition here to the Kwanzaa program that will begin, holiday that will begin December the 26th. So we're supposed to do the Kwanzaa. Please show the clip of the Kwanzaa holiday.
The first day of Kwanzaa, we call it Umoja. Good evening. Welcome to the second half of the segment of the National Council of Negro Women. My name is Alice Paylor-Dais, and I'm going to be interviewing 2 African-American youth, and we're going to talk about the positive things that our youth is doing. And one of the purposes of doing this is because lately it seems the only thing we see on the news about our youth is always negative stuff. And all of our youth is not out there doing drugs and killing and stealing. And that's just a very small portion of our population. Most of our youth are working or going to school and doing very positive things. And we have 2 youths with us today. We have on my right, we have Casey Thompkins-Rhoades, and she's a 3rd-year med student at the University of Pittsburgh. And on my left, we have Jajuan Hill, and he's a sophomore at California State University. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes. And first, I'm going to start with you, Casey, and tell me a little bit about your experience and what motivated you to want to go to med school, and what you're studying, and how things are going for you there.
Okay, so I'm originally from Raleigh, North Carolina, and I kind of got into math and science when I was in high school. My mom was really aggressive about putting me in science programs growing up, so I went to the local university, NC State University, and I did like science summer camps and really got exposed to STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. Mm-hmm. So when I went to college, I decided to major in something in engineering. I majored in bioengineering. So bioengineering students learn about everything from biomechanics and making prosthetics for people's legs to making tissue engineering, drug delivery, pharmaceuticals. So it's a broad range, and engineering is really a broad range. There's civil engineering, mechanical engineering. There's a lot you can do with engineering. So I really like that about going to school and learning about different things.
So you did that in undergrad?
Yeah, mm-hmm. So whether that be coding computers or, learning chemistry, you can do all of that in engineering. There's also math that goes along with that. So after that, I decided to apply to medical school because I really liked what I was doing in bioengineering as far as drug delivery and tissue engineering, but I think I like the patient side, so more of talking to patients, learning about what's wrong with them and how we can make them healthier. And I also knew that that's something that our community needed. We needed more Black doctors who can talk to us, go to our communities, and actually cared about us.
And understand what we're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you like it so far?
I do. I really like being able to work with people, and people really trust you as a doctor. I love walking into my patients' rooms, and if they're African American, they're always really excited to see me. They always tell me how proud they are, that they're praying for me, that they know that my grandmother is proud of me. So that's really exciting for me, and I do really love what I do.
And what year are you in right now?
I'm a 3rd year, so I have a year and a half left, and I will be applying to residency. So as a resident, I will be a doctor, but I'll still be in training.
So what type of doctor are you planning on being?
I'm planning to apply into plastic surgery, which a lot of people think is a lot of cosmetic and aesthetic surgery, but it can also range from things like trauma and skin infections to reconstructive surgery. So it's a lot of different things.
Very good. And how many Black students are
in my class? Underrepresented students, so that's counting people who identify as Hispanic or mixed race. There are probably about 22 out of a class of 150, and that's one of the largest classes that the University of Pittsburgh has seen.
For people of color?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. And our next student is Jajuan Hill. Tell me about your path to college.
Well, I'm from Braddock, PA, about 30 minutes from here. What is my path to college? So I would say that I originally followed after my uncle. He was a first-gen college graduate. He went to Penn State. He majored in cyber risk analysis. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do exactly that. So I went to, I didn't get into Penn State, Maine, but I did go to a branch campus, and it wasn't working out for me. It wasn't the major for me. So I was like, okay, I need to find something new. And I had graduated from Woodland Hills High School, and I played football. So I was like, okay, I want to start that back up. So I ended up transferring to Cal and declaring social work major.
Okay,
and that's
good.
pretty much my path.
And we have a call waiting. Would you Give me your name and your question, please.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Karen.
Okay.
And is there an echo? I'm sorry if there's an echo. I apologize.
No, you're
but I
fine.
really enjoyed this program. I'm sitting here just beaming. I'm so proud of both of these students. And I'm glad that they are appreciative of people being proud of them and people telling them, I'm proud of you. You're making your parents proud. It just means a lot. Now, I do have a question. The young lady was mentioning science, technology, engineering, and math. Now, maybe I'm seeing something wrong. Is there also a program called STEAM, and they add an A to it? And if so, what does that mean? Maybe I got it wrong. I'll, end the call and listen to your answer. And to the young man, please, I'm so proud of you as well, following after your uncle's footsteps. And what doesn't work for you, something else will work for you over here. I'm just very proud of both of you. I'm going to hang up and listen to your answer.
Thank you.
I have heard of STEAM. Off the top of my head, I don't know what the A stands for.
I believe it's architecture.
Architecture, yeah. So
Oh,
architecture can also be a big part of civil engineering. So I know at the University of Pittsburgh, you can double major in architecture and civil engineering, but civil engineering does a lot with bridges and buildings and construction as well. And that takes a lot of math and science and calculus.
Okay. And now I understand that you did some work in Boston. You did an internship or something. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so as an engineering student, you have the option to do a co-op program, which means you work for a year in a field that you're interested in so that you can get some experience, because a lot of times engineers have to learn on the job, and what they do is really important, and a lot of people's lives can be at stake, especially if you're building bridges or buildings or making devices, which was what I was doing. So I work for Boston Scientific, which is a company that's headquartered in Boston, but it's a global company, and they do research and development for medical devices, whether that's closing holes in people's hearts or creating devices to combat cancer. So what I was working on was esophageal stents for people who have esophageal cancer, and it was my job to kind of prototype those devices and then present them to my manager to see if they would pass FDA regulation. So a lot of students do it. There are some schools that are mandatory that have co-op programs, so students have to kind of do this rotational program. But for me, it was optional, and I decided to move to Boston for that year and then come back and finish my undergrad degree.
And that went well for you?
Yeah, it went very well because they pay you very well.
And I understand also you did a trip this last summer. Where did you go? Where did they send you last summer?
So last summer I did research with the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. They actually own a hospital in Palermo, Italy, which is in Sicily, an island off the coast of Italy. And they do a lot of heart transplant research there. And what I was doing was developing a synthetic mitral valve using computer programming technology to come up with a model, so we can first see what the model would look like before we prototype the valve.
Okay, and that went well for you?
Yeah, that's research that I also brought back here. So that was really exciting to be able to continue that here in Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay, very good. We have another call waiting. Caller, give me your name and your question, please.
Yes, good evening.
Good
My name is Mark, and I'm calling from the north side.
Uh-huh.
Alice, I just want to tell you that you ladies are just unbelievable with the shows that you continue to produce.
Thank you.
They're educational, but more importantly, they are so encouraging. To Casey and Jajuan, I just want to tell you, I used to serve on the Pittsburgh school board.
Okay.
And one of the things that made board members and every parent in the room just blush and gleam was when we would see a student that we knew was a Pittsburgh public school student maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and now you see them, they're working at a great job, or they're college professors, or they moved on. And I say that to remind you that as you move forward, there's a lot of people who have a sense of, I am so proud of her, I am so proud of him, I had a hand in their success. and we are very, very proud of them. So continue as you move forward. Remember, you don't know who's watching you. And as you move forward, you don't know what student is sitting back there just saying, I want to be like her when I grow up. I want to be like him. And so sometimes you just got to continue to do what you're doing. You'll never know. It might be 10 years later when a grown man walked up to you and said, hi, I watched you when you were in 11th grade, and I said I wanted to follow you. And it's really touching. I wanted to say this one quick story, and then I'll hang up. As a board member, we often would go and visit different schools. I visited a school on the north side, and it was a music program. And I can remember the wonderful students that they had and the whole bit. But there was the teacher that walked up to me and said, hey, Mr. Bradley, how are you? It's so good to see you. And I said, well, it's nice to see you. He paused, and he said, you don't remember me. I said, oh, my God. I said, no, I don't. He said, you spoke at our class 7 years ago, and you were telling us to get excited and telling us to go do what you need to do and to take care of business. He said, hey, Mr. Bradley, you're in my class. I am the teacher here now. And, you know, it made me speechless because we watched him grow, even though I couldn't remember him, but he stayed the course, and here he is, you know, in a position that also influence and help a lot of other people. So I am so proud of both of you. You both look great, and we are waiting, Alice, for 4, maybe 2 or 3 years down the road.
Yes.
For you to invite them back, and they can talk about their success.
We certainly will.
I'm not going to say good luck because I know you're going to do well because you're going to put the time in. But I'm just going to say I wish the best for you, both of you, in the future.
And we
have a good evening.
Thank you, Mark. And we have another caller. State your name and your question, please, or your remarks.
Hi, this is Deneen Hood.
Yes.
And I have a question for Jajuan.
Okay.
He said his major now is social work, and it's so important in our community. I was just wondering if he'd been thinking about what demographic or what type of clientele or what he would be working with. Has he given that any thought?
I haven't fully decided on who I would work with, but I know I want to work within the African American and the impoverished communities. I think that's more my focus right now.
Are you there?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I guess I'm looking at the TV and it's delayed.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I was wondering about that, and I think that's what we really, really do need because it's so hard. There are good people, it doesn't matter, but when you do have that African American, especially the male role models, I just want to congratulate you and hope you do stay the course. And I know you'll stay the course. Not like to say hope. So thank you very much for considering giving back everything that you've learned and be able to help.
Thank you for your acknowledgement.
You're welcome. All right.
And Jajuan, I want to hear from you now. You're doing some wonderful things. And I understand that you have published a book.
I have.
And I don't know how you have time to write and do your studies and...
As far as time management, so I understand what's important in my life right now and what can come later. And I've decided that I would suffer now and succeed later.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's important to me to dedicate all of the time that I have to uplifting myself and the people around me because I don't want to wait until I'm 30 to be like, okay, it's time to start saving and studying. Because at that point, it's a little too late. So I feel as if I'll have a stronger impact and a more insightful journey if I begin young. And then when I'm, 30, 35, it's like, okay, like now I'm set.
Okay.
Exactly.
And tell us about your book.
My book is called Our World from the Outside In. It basically advocates for teenage mental health on the internet. So I see that we put so much of our time and energy and invest so much into the internet that we forget to take care of the person we are within. And we get so caught up in the trends and the focuses of other people that we never acknowledge how we feel and what we're going through, and this causes depression and anxiety and all these different things. So I'm just conveying ideas. So I understand that the internet isn't going anywhere, right? It's only 10 years old, and we're all growing up on it, and our children will grow up on it. But if I decided to create a conduct of how we can survive on it, if we're going to be honest. So I'm teaching them how to enhance their relationships. I'm talking about abuse and how to, deal with that. I'm talking about our love lives, our sex lives, our purposes, our future careers, and how the internet can possibly negatively influence and craft our vision, incorrectly on these things. And I'm teaching them how to, develop your vision for yourself.
Okay. And how is your book selling? It's doing well?
Selling pretty good. It's selling very well at Cal U and among my neighborhood and my family. So I'm proud of that.
And I understand you also do speaking engagements.
I do. So I've done about 3 or 4, and they've been pretty slow. And I understand that if you want to be successful, you have to adjust to your circumstances. And so I understood I wasn't getting booked enough. I was like, okay, what can I do to reach, be an outlet to people? I was like, okay, I'll utilize social media. So I started to create videos on my Instagram, just 45 seconds to a minute videos, just addressing people and what's going on. I'll take suggestions from people. So I talk about relationships, like pretty much the same stuff inside of my book, but not everybody likes to read. So if I can directly get in your face if you're scrolling anyways and talk to you about what you need to hear, then I can impact you. But I do on Instagram, Twitter, and my Facebook. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it is @LivingLamar. No underscores or anything. Twitter would be the same. And then on Facebook, it's just Jajuan Hill, Jajuanhill.
Okay. So your book basically is targeted for the youth?
I would say about 16 to about 24.
Okay. And I understand that you are writing a second book. You're working on your second book?
So my second one is fully developed. So I understood that I could not speak for women. So I decided I don't understand the experiences and the emotions and everything else, and it's not my place to understand. So I decided to get 2 beautiful black women, Talia Spears and Ariana Jones, and we created a guide for parents to understand their children and the children and teenagers and adults to understand themselves. So in a sense, like I said, it's a guide, but now it's just both perspectives. So nobody feels left out. And after every one of my chapters, I have the lesson that I wanted you to take. So for example, I have a chapter called Divine Timing, where something that's very popular.
Called what?
Divine Timing.
Divine Timing.
Which basically means say most teenagers in high school want to graduate, right? But they're not ready for the obstacles after high school. So I'm trying to teach them how to prepare for these things. If you want something bad, you may not be ready for it, but how can you prepare for it? So that's the chapter, and then that's the following lesson. And then I say, okay, give me one thing that you want in your life, whether it be a car or a house or whatever it may be. Even though you don't have it yet, write down how you can prepare for it. So in a sense, I'm allowing them to utilize this book as a journal, so they feel just as connected as I do to the book. And they'll place a level of importance in it if they feel like it's theirs. And at the end, I allow readers, and I've never told anyone this, but I allow readers to finish the book. So I have a chapter at the end, and you're allowed to write how you feel. So you can label the chapter what you want, put 2 poems in there, and then people will submit their chapters to me, and whoever has the best, every 100th person, I'll read over the 100 stories, and then whoever has the best, you get $100, and you get to go out to eat with me and the 2 other authors.
Okay, now go back up and explain about write the chapter. So after they read the book.
Right. So I never finished the book. I allowed the reader to finish it in the second one. So they get to write in whatever they want at the end of the book, however they feel as if their story.
What they got out of the book.
Or just what they would like to add to the book. It could be their story.
Okay.
And then I allow them to finish it, and then it's kind of like a competition.
So is the book, is it on the market now?
You can go out and get it at worthyreads.org. You can get both books. I haven't actually published it yet, but I'm allowing people to do pre-orders.
Okay.
So whenever, I think I'll publish it January 3rd, and then pre-orders will start December 20th. Okay. And then in between that time, people can order it. You can even order it now, but it'll be a little bit before you get it. And I know people like stuff fast. So, but yeah, it is on the market at worthyreads.org. WORTHYREADS.org.
So when do you find time? I understand your GPA is what, over 3.0?
3.5.
So how do you find time to do your studies and do your writing and your speaking engagements?
So I created this myself, and I talked to my aunt about this, my aunt Saida. I have something called productivity anxiety, which isn't actually anything. But if my teacher tells me I have something to do, we get a syllabus at the beginning of semester, and I have all this time to do it, I don't feel comfortable waiting until the last week. It eats me up. So most of the work that I get, I'll do it within the first 2 months of school.
And what's it called? What? Productivity?
Productive anxiety. I don't know.
Productive anxiety.
I just made that up.
I
so.
wish I had that.
Oh, well, that sounds really interesting. I think I have a copy of your book.
Mm-hmm.
I think I bought it. I saw you at
my event.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. Okay, very good, very good. And back to you, Miss Casey. I understand you're doing your rounds at the hospital now? Mm-hmm. And what hospital are you working at now?
So right now I'm working out of the Children's Oakland Medical Office, and I work at the newborn clinic, and then at McGee I round in the mornings on the newborn babies.
And what time do you have to be there?
7 a.m.,
You
which
have
is
to
not
be
that
there
bad.
at 7.
Yeah.
So you
yeah.
get up at?
About 5:30.
Yeah, yeah. But that's not as early as I've been up before, so it's not too bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How early do you?
For surgical rounds, we start at 5 a.m. So I usually have to be there at 4:30 because I have to be there before the resident is there because you can't be the last one there.
Well, I don't know how you guys are doing this and doing. It's not. I know it's not easy going to college, and studying, and your GPA is what?
We don't have GPAs in medical school, but I'm doing well.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's a lot of coffee.
A lot of coffee.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. But now back to you. Didn't you do T-shirts too? Do you have?
So when I created the videos, I started, I don't know, it just happened naturally. After every video, I would just say, let's work, like at the end of every video. So I also have other colors, but I don't have all of them with me. But you can also check these out on the same site that I just gave out for the book, so worthyreads.org. It just says, let's work on it. Then on the back of this one, it says, evolve in your creativity.
Oh, okay. Let me see that. Let's work. Evolve in your I like that. Evolve in your creativity. What does that mean?
So as human beings, we are all meant to be creators in some way, shape, or form. That's how we've evolved as a society. Someone has had to, make the light. Someone has had to create the pen. Someone's had to, do something in order for us to continue to get better. And I think so many of us are lost because our imagination isn't functioning. We're working like robots at this point in our lives. So we're so lost in our phones that we're not fulfilling our own purposes. Oh. And I just want people to evolve in what they love. And if you are continuously producing and giving to the world, you are influencing others. And that can influence someone to give to the world. So there has to be a LeBron James for there to be like a me or somebody else. He has to inspire me, even though I don't even play sports anymore. Just seeing him being a mogul and creating an example of what it looks like to get to a certain level and be dominant. Okay. And I needed that, and someone may need what I'm doing, and continuously. So you have to evolve in your creativity to inspire other people.
Very good. We have a caller waiting. Caller, state your name and your comment, please.
Yes. Hi. I would just like to say I hope that the National Council of Negro Women is taping and videotaping this program so it can be shown many, many, many times, because so many youth and older people can be mentored by these two young people. I really think you all are dynamic. I really think that I like to see you two partner up and do some more things to help and reach out into the community as you grow yourselves. But I hope that we can show this video as National Council of Negro Women to many, many people, because many people need to hear what this young lady and this young man has to say. As soon as I get home, I'm going to immediately order the book. I'm also going to look up the young lady, and I am going to follow you all throughout your careers and your life. Thank you for who you are, and I thank your family.
Thank you.
And thank you for calling. And the other comment I want to make is that a lot of our African-American youth that are in college, they come from single-parent homes. Mothers is working 2 jobs to keep them in college. So again, like I said at the beginning of the show, all of our kids are not out here doing drugs and robbing and stealing. Most of our kids, the majority of our young black kids, are trying to work and trying to get an education and trying to get a skill to give back to their community. These two students here, everything they've been saying, it's about giving back, giving back. And most of our kids are doing that, but we don't hear about it. The news media does not show the positive things that our kids are doing. We have to do it ourselves. And thank you, caller. We probably will show this segment of the show again, because we need to promote our kids, the youth that are out there doing positive things. We need to support them and praise them and pat them on the back when they're doing good. So thank you for that call. And Miss Casey, back to you again. Now, when you finish this year, you're doing what?
I'll be a resident, so I'll be going on to residency at a different hospital or program.
Do you know where you'll be going?
No, so there's a national program called The Match, and it's an algorithm that matches medical students with programs all over the country. So you rank your top schools and you interview, and then the schools rank you, and then the program matches, and everyone finds out in March where they're going to be a resident at.
So you know March of next year you'll
Yes.
know. Okay. Do you have a specific one that you,
I don't.
that you prefer?
I don't have a specific place, but I do just want to go to the best program that I can get into so that I can train and be the best surgeon that I can be.
Very good. Very good. And Mr. Hill, your future plans are to finish college, write more books.
Yes. I've already written about 6. So.
Really? Oh, okay. I just know the 2.
Yeah, the other 4 will be, years down the line.
Okay,
but,
okay.
Continue to speak. I created a program called the Beyond Me program where me and a good friend, Glenn Ford, are going into high schools, trying to get into high schools and show the students how to be empathetic, create self-awareness, help them find out about their careers and, after high school and what it looks like. I've actually been talking to Willow Hills about this. I spoke with Penn Hill, so hopefully I'll be, getting to that very soon.
Okay.
And the rest, I guess, is just what the future holds.
Okay. And are you running, and what type of obstacles are you running into, if any?
Myself. I mean, I have to hold myself accountable. So if you were to go in my room, you would see sheets and sheets of paper on my wall telling myself what I need to do every day, because it's so easy to get caught into the modern society ideals and doing what everybody else is doing. And I know that my role in this world is bigger than that. So, and it's hard to do that by yourself. So thankfully I have like a team of people that, are on top of it with me. But I guess just difficulty in myself and having to stay focused and, realize that I can't be like, the average person.
Mm-hmm. And both of you have the support of your families. Okay. And what motivates you?
What motivates me? Well, one, I am very competitive. So when I get into the classroom or wherever I'm at, I do always want to be the best. But also a lot of the things that I see are what motivates me every day. Seeing healthcare disparities, seeing our people not being treated right or neglected, it really makes me angry. And I feel like if I'm, going to be in the room, they're not going to let that slide by me.
Okay.
So that's kind of my motivation.
And what type of obstacles have you ran into or what you're running into in pursuing your dream?
Like Jajuan said, some of it can be myself. Sometimes I get imposter syndrome and I'm like,
What kind of syndrome?
Imposter syndrome. So it's where you've accomplished all these things and you've earned your way into the seat or into the room, but you still doubt yourself because you might be the only one that looks like you in that room.
Yeah.
And you kind of start doubting yourself. So I think that holds me back a lot. But also being hard on myself is something that holds me back. When I make a mistake or I don't remember something, I'm always hard on myself. Other than that, obstacles of higher education, include racism. There are always socioeconomic barriers to higher education, and the higher you get, the higher those walls get. So battling some of those.
Okay. So you said the higher you go in education, the higher
The walls get, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of it no longer becomes how much you know or how smart you are, because, you know, once you get to medical school and once you get to that level, everyone's smart, you know, everyone knows what they're doing, everyone's a hard worker, everyone's qualified. Then it becomes who you know. And, you know, being one of the first doctors in my family, you know, my dad didn't go to Pitt for surgery. You know, both my parents aren't doctors, so I wasn't born knowing all these people, knowing all these names. So a lot of that is who you know, and like how hard you can work. You have to make up for it, you know.
Okay. Well, I want to thank both of you for joining us this evening. I wish we had more time, but I promise I will have you back. Both of you have to come back and keep us informed on your journey along the way. And I want to thank the audience for their participation, their phone calls, very informative, and thank you for joining us this evening, and keep in touch. We'll keep in touch and let you know how these two students are doing. Yes.
You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I